Welcome back. Today we have an extra special treat for everybody. This gentleman is one of the most respected people in my circle. He is the leader of a community. He is the maitre d' of a men's circle that brings so many people wellness. He is a husband. He is a father. He is a good person. He's incredibly articulate. I'm so excited to share this with you guys today. My guest, Josh Pouliot.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, you know it,
That
brother.
was great, yeah.
Yeah, hell
Pleasure
yeah,
to be
man.
here again.
So, last time that Josh came on, we had it was meant to be, so it's okay. But we had a miscue. The only time in the studio where we have messed up and we had technical difficulties, and his episode got corrupted. There was some issues that day, and so this was about 7 months ago now, and now we're back again. We're still around, baby. Giddy up, So excited to have you back on, man.
Yeah, the first one went really great, and so this one is just almost like we're doing a second episode, which we can touch on all the stuff we did last time, and it's going to be a sneak peek and a fresh listen for everyone else. So this is exactly how you said, meant to be. I'm really excited to get back into this.
Yeah, and two, our relationship has grown significantly since when I had met you before our first episode. You were just this guy that I had met one time, who I had been invited to a men's circle, and I said, "Whoa, that's some transformative shit going on there, baby. That's some real healing that gentleman is doing for these men and leading these men and and cultivating this space. And I can't wait to have him on the show." And then naturally our relationship grown, and we've had tons of different experiences together now. And, not tons, but quite a few different experiences together now. And, I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for the conversation that we're about to have today.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get started. So Josh, you are the leader of a community, called the Hive. Okay, that's something that I think is incredible, and I would like you to share. Tell me about how this this mission this mission came to be. It's kind of a thing that not everybody does. Everyone is the status quo is, hey, I'm gonna try to live in my own space in my own house, whether it's an apartment, a condo, whatever, an apartment, and I'm gonna just do my own thing, and sure, maybe there'll be some parties here and there where I get to go see my neighbors. But what you're doing is something that's intentional and something that's different. And tell me about it.
Sure. Yeah. So we are an 8-person, 2-baby community. So there's 10 of us. 2 babies have been born at the Hive farm in the last year now, which is pretty incredible. 2 home births, same midwife. And so we are living in community, and we don't like the negative connotation behind the word commune, right? With the Kool-Aid and the cults and all that. So living in community is just, non-family living together consciously, intentionally. You could look back at ancient times and wonder if that's how people were living back then. Maybe that was family. Maybe there were just several generations within the same roof. And so there's pros and cons to almost everything in life, right? So there's always a lot of hands on deck and a lot of meals with everyone, and we have weekly house meetings where we can really hash out what needs to be done, what can be better, what can we celebrate that week, and really organize our lives for all this stuff that we're hosting. We're hosting tons of stuff, and that's kind of the advantage of living in a community is you can host all these events that each person that lives there can host whatever their passion is. We have a woman who makes drums, handmade drums from horse and different types of animals. And, my wife Emily does cacao ceremonies because she absolutely loves cacao, right? And I host men's circles, and I did an ecstatic dance for a while. And so we get to host all these beautiful events, and it's such a pleasure to have people come over and to just be able to here's a bunch of healing, here's some grounded, heartfelt love for you to experience because it's so needed in this day and age.
Yeah, you couldn't be more right that it's so needed. And Like every time that I come to your space, that's exactly what I feel like. It's like, oh yeah, thanks for the force-fed intentional love. That's a giddy up.
Sure.
I almost even feel it on the way. It's about a 40-minute drive for me, and so I always feel it on the way over there. Normally you're not like always, you're not always thinking about the place that you're going. You're somewhere else. You're driving. Maybe you're present. But like that's what I'm saying is when I'm coming to your place, I get present even beforehand, which is a cool thing because I'm doing an intentional thing to go hang out with my friends in an intentional way, or heal in an intentional way. Different ceremonies and different stuff that you guys have, provide, and I think you're right that at some point this is likely how we were all living, whether it was this similar family, different generations, or just multiple. There's a lot of advantages to it, and back then, there's a lot more that people are starting to return to now. Home agriculture and sustainability. You needed that to even survive. So there was more of it, and then we just somewhere along the way, we got super individualized, and maybe there's something to that too. That is that one of the cons maybe that you might see is that you don't have necessarily privacy or
Sure. Yeah, for sure. And the particular living situation I'm in right now, the walls are paper thin. It's an 1860s farmhouse that they just kept building extensions onto. I'm pretty sure there's zero insulation, and probably on purpose so the heat from the other parts of the building can get in there. But you can hear everything going on, and they can hear everything. So, there's not as much privacy, which is tricky, and it's hard to live with people. It really is. That show Real World was so successful. You get 10 strangers, put them in a house together. It's perfect TV because it's just chaos. It's crazy, right? There's a lot of drama, and so you experience a lot of that. And so, it takes a village to raise a kid and to build a community. So you kind of need to, and so you take it as it comes. There's going to be some challenges. There's also going to be some beautiful things that happen. I did want to touch on too. I was a physical therapy personal trainer in my past life, right? And there's scientific evidence that when you're driving to the gym, people are wearing heart rate monitors, your heart actually increases. Your body knows it's about to go work out, right? And so it's it tickles me when people are driving to the Hive that their body's like, oh, cool, we're going to have an intentional, beautiful, ceremony. So, and that's done on purpose. We've had house cleansing and land cleansings. Crystal grids have been buried and prayed, and people can feel that when they're on site. And so that's a beautiful thing. It's hard to describe. It's when people are like, what's the Hive like? It's like, I almost just want to not give them any information, be like, oh, come check it out. Because it's hard to talk about this stuff without it sounding like a cult or sounding weird or sounding off-putting.
Yeah, and that's hopefully what we can do a little bit of today to help dispel that. But I'm over here telling you how amazing it is and the intentional, heartfelt love, and it sometimes sounds like that to people. The commune living, but it's the exact opposite of what people would think. It's not. You do have people, you have more personalities, but if you have good leadership and you have good boundaries within that, and everyone is understanding of those boundaries and follows it, it's sure, there's going to be some challenges, but there's going to be benefit. I have my son, and I always see that I can, having another adult around, a trusted adult, it's that's a giddy up. That's a giddy up. It's so helpful, and it's so, I think it's enriching for the child. And then too now, this child, they, not very often unless you have twins, which is a situation where you're only having two parents take care of two babies, even more challenging. But you guys have two babies in the house, like you said, and you have these two babies that are close in age, closer than siblings would necessarily be able to possibly be. So that's a really, unless there's an adoption situation. So that's a really cool thing that's going on.
Yeah, it's special. We've joked around what if they started dating later in life? How strange would that be? And it's great because the Lila, the little baby that was born before my son, I'm watching her develop a few months before Finn, so I'm getting these sneak previews. And then there's other Hive members that live at the Hive that help take care of her when parents are doing all sorts of other stuff, so they can fill their cup. and ground and center and show up better for Lila. And so that's part of the advantage of living in a community is you have all that on site. You don't need to go and hire a babysitter or have parents come over, which has its own challenges. Because everyone has their differences, but we all can agree on some of these core principles of living, like sustainability and not yelling at kids and all that kind of stuff. So there's that trust built in that, you know, if you hand Lila to any one of us, we're going to love her like she's our own.
Yeah, it's like so special. I think that the children that are growing up in that space, I would, I'm going to be curious to see how they turn out compared to a child going through the more status quo traditional model. I just feel like, if I'm going over there and I'm feeling a little bit of love when I go over there and just getting a little taste of it, this child's always around a lot of this love. Sure, it's not always the happiest time in the world, and things are challenging and stuff like that, and the baby's going to feel some of that too, but more often than not, the baby's likely feeling the love and the goodness. So it's going to be, I think there'll be, we got to start studying it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they're lucky babies. I was raised in a really beautiful household, so that's part of the reason I've stepped up and tried to be a leader in community and lead men's circles, because I was blessed with two parents that really loved me and weren't abusive, which I know is rare. But these two babies are birthed to conscious parents that want to raise their children as best they can and have the ability to with the emotional intelligence, and then also they're growing up in a community on a beautiful farmland where we're growing food and we host these beautiful ceremonies. I mean, what a blessing for these two babies to grow up in that way.
For real. No, you're telling me that so your parents are super supportive, and so like you were just this young kid, Josh, like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be this community builder. I'm gonna start a community, and that's how I'm gonna do it." And that's the story.
No, it couldn't be farther from the truth. I had never even considered it. Even as far as 10 years ago, we have me being like basically a frat bro, drinking, smoking, womanizing, whatever that looks like to you. Yeah. So even 10 years ago, right? So this is all relatively new for me as I wanted to be a better man, be a better person, that spiritual growth factor. And then, I wanted to start the Hive farm, right? Found the property. I had a partner at the time who's not my wife, a different one. And she ended up leaving me a few weeks before I moved into the Hive. And my whole family and friend unit had like this intervention. They were like, don't do this, right? You've never talked about living in community before or being a farmer or hosting events. And so like this feels like her vision and not yours. And don't do this. This is really a terrible idea.
Yeah, Josh, you're the frat bro. You're out there crushing beers, doing your thing, being a young man. And they're like, this was her vision, not yours.
Right. And so even in the face of that, right, I still was like, no, this is my path. Right. And so it actually solidified it for me, which was beautiful, right? Everything happens for a reason. That intervention was really the stamp on the whole thing of like, yes, I'm going to do this. Even all my loved ones are saying, don't do this. And I still have such a strong feeling to do it.
The parents that supported you, how were they about it?
My dad thought it was going to be a noose around my neck was the words he used.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much. And in some ways he's right. Like this has been a huge challenge for me. I have a capacity to do all this. It doesn't mean I should. Right. Mm-hmm. And there's a huge sacrifice to it of my own personal life and my own filling of my cups, going on hikes and all that stuff. That's like stuff I wish I could continue to do at the pace I was doing, but I have so much responsibility in my role that, in some ways he was right. And my mom passed a while back, so she wasn't a part of that whole discussion. But my immediately close friends, the friends that I've kind of outgrown away from, they were all saying, don't do this, right? And I was like, I'm going to do it. And I'm so happy I did, right? All of this beautiful stuff has happened. I met my wife. I have a kid now, right? And I've touched all these lives. So, of course, it was meant to happen this exact way.
I know that most of us associate the weather getting chilly with flu and cold season, but here at Dr. BeeWell, we call it bad sugar season. As Americans, we generally eat like shit. During this time of year, with the holiday and other related stresses, those horrible eating practices tend to get kicked into overdrive. We offer a solution in the form of full spectrum RSO infused raw local honey because we shouldn't be walking around eating nerd rope all day. Why not let the bees handle the heavy lifting that your sweet tooth demands? I think it's fair to say that most people know how vital strength training is for long-term health and fitness, but find it hard knowing where to start. I'm here to say that also included me, Dr. Steve. You want to make sure you're doing exercises correctly, you don't want to get hurt, and you have no idea how to structure a workout program to get the best results. I've been there. In fact, this is where I found myself a few months ago. That's where On Target Fitness comes in. At On Target, every client gets their own custom strength program, tons of individual attention in their unique small group format, and the common sense nutrition and health coaching necessary to make a lasting lifestyle upgrade. As a new member of On Target, I'm not only seeing major changes in my body, but also my overall quality of life. In the past, I've struggled with using proper form. Well, let me tell you, whether it's Coach Joe or Coach Ryan, they've got you covered with technique. Even movement patterns as simple as walking have improved since I've started. When I was working out by myself without a program, I was often lost and lacked the motivation to challenge myself. Not at On Target. The energy and support in the group dynamic is truly game-changing. I have so much fun every time I work out. If you're ready for lasting change, don't hesitate to schedule a complimentary strategy session at www.ontargetfit.com. During this session, you'll learn a lot, make a plan, and only move forward if it's right for your budget, schedule, and goals. I met with Coach Katie, and she was awesome. So please, if you need that giddy up back in your life, get on over to ontargetfit.com and schedule your session today. That's amazing. That's literally amazing that you had that the bravado to, the guile, the balls, to say, hey, I know that this is right. I'm going to listen to my heart, even in the face of you broke up with a partner who you were going to do this with. You said a couple of weeks beforehand. That's trauma. How long were you with this person?
Off and on for several years. It was like polyamorous and monogamous, and like it was this ultimate beautiful dance that I never would change for anything. But it was heartbreak. I was a shell of myself trying to heal from that trauma because it was actually a friend of mine that they were kind of like, oh, we're gonna. And, in hindsight, this is what's beautiful about living is like you can go back in time now. We're still friends, right? And it's like she was freaked out by the commitment of that step. And so she was just going to do anything in her consciousness to not go through that like commitment, right? And so it just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't not going to happen. And so to unpersonalize the whole thing and put myself in someone else's shoes is like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. At the time, didn't make any sense. And it was really heartbreaking, but that's what needed to happen because that commitment, that step was not something that she was prepared for.
Yeah, dude, that's like, and for you to have hindsight is great, right? And like, but a lot of people don't grow. They just have like negative feelings about, their relationships in the past. And like what, I see there is like a person who does the deep work, who does, to figure out what happened and why did, what happened in that situation, who's, give space for everyone's emotions and give space for where everyone was at. And like, I just am so impressed that you doubled down. Like that's a lot of bravery and a lot of and that's a lot of times how it happens. People say, hey, you can't do this and you can't do that, and you say, well, look, no, I'm gonna go do it. It's I could definitely resonate, not to that extent because I definitely didn't take on that the same type of risk in terms of what you were doing completely new, but like with the podcast, I had a lot of people who. What are you doing? It's, what do you think you're, it's like, no, man, we're a full, profitable podcast. We're doing good. So it's like, and not to toot my own horn, like I just, toot, 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 toot. But no, man, it's like that's incredible that you start this community. You do it anyways. What does that look like?
Yeah, and to touch on that before I go into the next part, that's what I'm hoping my story can be inspiration for, is for people out there to realize you can do anything you want to do, even if people are telling you not to do it. I think you sit there and you feel into your heart space of, do I really want to do this? Should I listen to my loved ones? Are they actually trying to warn me from a disaster here? Or do I really just want to do this anyway? and that's what I hope my story can inspire people for. So
It inspires me.
we started from scratch. And when I say I hadn't done any of it before, it's not an exaggeration. I'd never been a landlord, never owned a home, never led a community, never been in a community, so like never gardened or farmed. I mean, all of it new. And I did it all at once. Put all those hats on, right? Start juggling all this stuff and just see what happens, right? And the whole premise was because the space is really beautiful and big, right? If we build it, they will come. If we can just have a bunch of beautiful people, all awesome people come over and mix them all together, something awesome is going to happen, right? That just at its core, that's what was going to be happening. So how do you start a community from scratch, right? I don't know. What we did was we had a 3-year plan, and within a month of moving in, we started a music festival, and we hosted a music festival. Probably only a couple hundred people. It was really fun. It was like extremely fun, awesome. And then we did another one. So our first year was focused on music, and then the second year was art, and the third year was plant medicine. And so it was our initial, 3-year plan. Let's build community through these 3 facets that we all love and see where we end up. And so through that, many, many housemates, many community members move in, move out, move in, move out. And each time someone moves in, moves out, we get closer to a good fit, right? Mm-hmm. We know more of who we're looking for. People hear more about us, start coming over, like-minded people, right? More emotionally mature people, and so we get closer and closer. And I'm noticing now, 6.5 years in, there's archetypes in these bedrooms. Each bedroom, like similar archetypes are filling. Every time someone moves in, someone's similar archetypes moving back in. It's wild. It's a wild ride.
Do you feel comfortable expanding on that?
So there's one archetype that it's the worker bee. The can fix anything, plumbing, electrical, usually a guy. Construction, can build outhouses, but with that extreme creativity and hands-on approach is usually extreme messiness. Room's a mess, can't find tools, leaves multiple projects open-ended at all times. That's an archetype that's been really fun. There's another one of the mother whose child is already grown and standing on their own feet and still has that nurturing spirit and loves cooking and cleaning and mothering. And there's another younger woman, hasn't had kids yet, wants to really expand her independence and empower herself and others around her, and really like boss lady, owns a business or two, and likes to travel and do all sorts of extravagant, fun things. These are some of the archetypes you start to see in some of these bedrooms. And the funny story about the first year of music festivals is they started getting bigger and bigger and more frequent. And neighbors are starting to go, time out. What the heck are those guys doing over there? And it's starting to impede my happiness. And so being a salesman, right, and this kind of charm that I try and bring is, okay, let me go make peace with all these neighbors. Well, one of them was really mad, and I completely understand where they were coming from. The music festival stages were actually getting closer to their property, and later into the evening, we're pushing our boundaries on sound and all that stuff. So eventually there's a cease and desist. They threatened the Army National Guard on us. We can't do our last festival of the year. And I was on the town planning board at the time, right? And so I eventually started to figure out ways to make what we were trying to do more legal in town. On the planning board, they actually put me in charge of this Woodstock clause, as they called it. It's the large gatherings. So this is the cool part of like small towns, right? I'm on the planning board. I'm able to kind of maneuver this, and we got it legal to have these large gatherings on site. And we had big garden fest last September, which was our coming out. Like, it's our first time being able to do this and be like, hey, we're not hiding anything. This is what we're doing. It was completely legal and above board and all that good stuff. And since then, we've had like Porangui and other events like that.
When was Garden Fest?
September of last year, so 2022.
2022. Okay, I wish that I had been there for that.
that was a good one.
Yeah, you have a sign in your basement that I see, and I see who was there and who played there and who spoke there. Charles Eisenstein was there to speak, which is incredible. Nate Jones was playing Freddie LaRosa. Uncle Doug. Those guys. They can just jam out, man. And I just love listening to them play music. So.
And then the headliner was Paul Izak from Hawaii, who's amazing, and just world-class musician, but a great guy. Also doing sustainable like community living in Hawaii, and
I want to talk about how you like have this is a thing that I've gotten to experience now. Like that's why I said I wish that I was at Garden Fest, because I'd been going to Men's Circle, and I had been participating in the community and just seeing any opportunity that I could to get over there and hang out more. And there was there's this gentleman named Porangui. It's a band named Porangui. It's the band is Porangui, which is also the person, but Porangui the band is Porangui, and also his Porangui. Yeah, Porangui. Porangui. Am I saying it right now? Okay, giddy up. When we met him, I was the one who messed it up. I was the one who messed it up saying it. So I've tried my best, but Porangui, and I'll always do that from now on. And it's him and it's him and his partner, and they are incredible. They are absolutely incredible, like the world class musicians. And having this at this is your house. This is where you live, and like showing up for this event. It was beautiful. It's like a ticketed event. It's like Ticketmaster. You get your Hive ticket to Porangui, and I went there, man, and that was like probably. I've had a lot of transformative musical experiences in my day. That's definitely top 5. Maybe even top 3.
Woo.
Yeah, and this is like no psychedelics, nothing. Just showed up and did, here we go. Like, we're at your house, and you created this beautiful space, and that is amazing. I can't believe that you pulled that off, and how it must have been a crazy challenge, but also unbelievably rewarding.
It was a lot of work. It was so worth it. There are so many events I go to or host that, with all the work and build up, it gets really vulnerable to be let down when it actually happens. And so this was one of those few things where I worked really hard for weeks with multiple people that live there, right? It's not all me doing it. It's the community coming together and really all helping out to achieve that. But it was a lot of work, and it met expectations, which is rare. And it was so much fun. He's such an amazing person, collaborator, entertainer. He brings the people in. He's so heart-led with his music, and him and his partner Ashley Klein, they know how to do it. You can tell they've been doing it a while. They've perfected it. What was really impressive is they come and they're so nice about it, but they know exactly what they want. They're able to articulate to you, no, I want it this way, and I want all this here, and this needs to move over there. And it's not bossy, but they're not going to settle for anything less than what they expect, because people are paying to come see them, and they want that show to be their baseline, their expectation. And so that was really cool to see them, leading up to them showing up for a 3-hour sound check, shaking the whole building. My cat's toys 3 stories up were all shaking with the bass. He had 4 subs. It was incredible. But yeah, the amount of work that had to go into it led to them admitting that it was one of their best shows in years, and they had such a great time. And it was coming right out of a huge New York City, Brooklyn show, that this was like a really nice way to unwind and kind of get out of the city and into a farm. And I think that all contributed to the night that everyone felt how unique it was and how powerful it was.
Yeah, and not only that, they felt how unique it was, and then I think because of the intentional community that you lead, they were playing music at first, and I'm sure that a lot of people immediately start to just dance and move their body, and they're standing up, and there's how many people were there?
200-ish.
Yeah, so the 200 of us that are there are just all sitting there, Indian style, cross-legged. And the all 200 of us are just sitting there, cross-legged, in meditation poses, just letting this sound, bathe over us, and not letting them go through their set, interacting with the music. And then it just, it organically evolves into people starting to move their body and listening to this sound just, bathe over us. And, about like 45 minutes in, as I just see a 12-foot didgeridoo, just blowing at everybody, just like across the room. And it's like, man, this is it. This is it. And my actual favorite experience from the night before we got into this meditation, and this is all intentional by Porangui and his wife Ashley, his partner Ashley, wife Ashley, that it's all intentional by them. They've done this so many times, they know this, and it's amazing that they do this, and I'm so grateful to you guys for that experience that you gave us that night, and the love that you showed, and the cohesiveness that you allowed people. You showed that how we can come together, how we can create music, we can create art, we can create love in real time together. In the beginning of it, we got us all to circle up, and all 200 of us, and separated us into 6 different parts, 6 different quartets, or well, not quartets 4, but it's a sextet, so whatever. And so we get in there, and he starts to say, hey, you guys, over here, you go hoo to ha ha ha. You guys over here are going ta ta ha ta 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 ha ta ta ha ha, and we're all just banging, and just all from different. And he's leading it. He's the maestro, right? And he's going over here. He's getting up, you guys down, you guys up, and for like, look at the hair on my arm standing up, because we are literally there just vibing with each other. Like the frequency is all bathing over us. We're all vibing. We're all in the same. We all are feeling each other. We are all feeling so good for like 5 minutes doing this, and it's. I said after that, I said that to so many people. It's like, man, I want to study that. I want to study that. And like every night I want to get my neighbors together and be like, yo, we're doing it. You guys ready? Like, you guys ready for the goodness? Like, if that actually took place, if you had somebody in each little, neighborhood doing that for their community, we would be so connected. There would be so much love in the world. It would be incredible. It would be, endless.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's a master at it, right? Because I've led drum circles before. I'm a drummer, and it's a conversation, right? So most drum circles, if everyone's just playing, everyone's yelling over each other, and you can't really hear, and it sounds like crap. It really does. I can't do just a jam drum circle where everyone, but I know how to lead a drum circle, and I couldn't achieve what he's done because he's been doing it so long, right? And he's just I walked away from that exercise being like, that guy is a master at that. He's teaching us Portuguese and telling us where his name came from, and he just created that atmosphere and brought everyone really tight together. And then he's getting people to sing and hum and beatbox who can't do it or don't know how to do it or are too embarrassed to do it, and everyone was doing it. It was incredible to see.
I need everyone to have this experience. Like, so please go see this man. Like, go be with this man, because I can draw on it. I can draw on it now. This is, how long ago was it?
It was like mid-November.
So we're December 19th today. So
like a month ago,
and I can draw on it to the exact moment right now about how good it felt to be in that room and be doing that with you guys. And like, I felt like, it empowered everybody, to become themselves and to feel comfortable doing that. And that's like my favorite thing in the world, is when people are able to be themselves, and they're able to get out of their heads, and they get to do something that feels good for their body. It's why I love to dance.
Yeah, and mind you, this is sober. I don't know if not like we're like going up to everyone's eyeballs, like, are you sober? But like, there's 200 people there, and at least 150 stone cold sober people, right? Dancing and having a great time. There was no alcohol served. We had an elixir bar with like cacao and golden milk and stuff like that. And, people are coming with the intention of not doing any substances and still having a great time. And I think that's what's missing about music sometimes is like, I don't really want to go out because I have to navigate all of that, right? The whole bar scene, people spilling drinks on me, people's alcoholic breath like this close to my face yelling at. Sometimes it's just too much for me that I have to almost host an event like this to get the atmosphere I want. Because that's where I have the most fun. That's when I can be open and not have to be guarded and protect myself and my energy.
Yeah, there's I've become the master at dancing by myself in places where, you know, people are drunk, and I can never, like, the smell, I know I can never get the smell always sucks. You know, that's another thing I haven't been able to figure out how to kick that yet, or to train my mind how to not pay attention to that. But like the people, I figure out the way that I dance, and I can I try to dance through them, like, around them, and try to just be so graceful. And so, like, if someone spills a drink, I can almost know they're going to do it and feel it, and I move out of the way, and I get, but it's still sticky floors. And, and the thing is too, is you can't, like, that was a beautiful event that, was from like 7 to 10, and that was great. It's like usually music's not starting till like 9:30, so it's getting even, it's later, and it's just causing a different, a different vibe.
It was a school night too. It was a Wednesday night.
It was a Wednesday night. Yeah. It was a really special event that took place. And I just think, how you must have gotten 100 text messages, maybe probably more, 100 text messages the next day for people thanking you. And
not really. So it's like, I don't really want to be in the limelight either. It wasn't like Josh threw this event. It was definitely collaborative. Like Nate Jones was the whole reason it happened in the first place, because he had played with Porangui in a jam in Arizona one time and met up with the manager, Satesh, and they got together and they're like, hey, we need a place between like New York City and Maine, midweek, and that can host this many people. And he's like, oh, I think the Hive would, right? So, I think, I don't really remember what the premise.
No, it's how many text messages you got.
Oh, yeah. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like Josh needs to be thanked for this, or even that half the people in the room even know who was running the actual venue itself. So
it wasn't just really members of the community.
And it's almost like that's not what I need or am looking for. What was medicine for me is like being in the room, watching everyone having a great time. That for me is all the thank you I would ever want,
Yeah, I felt like because I had so much gratitude to you for, to like reminding me about it, and just like letting me know, like, just, how important it was going to be, because I just didn't necessarily know, about Porangui, beforehand, and, what type of music he was bringing. And I just had so much gratitude for you to be able to host that, and just saw like I know what you went through. I have hosted events. I do that. So I know how hard it is, and to do it for somebody who is, an incredible touring musician, who is, playing these big giant shows. He was playing for Aubrey Marcus, a couple of weeks beforehand, he's playing this guy's playing big giant festivals. And he came and and partied in your basement, and not even partied. It was, he came and made beautiful music with, for us and with us. And I just am so grateful I'm so grateful to all those guys, Nate Jones, Satesh, like just a great group of people.
Yeah, and there's a little selfish piece to this of like, I want to experience that, right? And so the only way to do it is to host it at that point, because my wife and I had a really great time together. It was almost like a date night. Somehow my son was able to sleep through a lot of it, and we were dancing with his little baby monitor on our phone, downstairs, and that wouldn't have been at all possible anywhere else, right? It only could happen there like that.
Yeah, you're not going to a mom and a dad. You're not likely making a music festival, in the first 10 months of your kid's life, first 8 months.
He was 4 months old.
4 months old, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Lila's older, yeah.
And like him and Paul Izak, even at Garden Fest, they spend the night, right? And then like we have food and we get to really know them. And there was even like we did a sauna. It was just like so cool. These are the selfish reasons to do this. Is like I get some intimate time with the artist too.
Yeah, and that's precious time, because like you said, that a person who can create that and has that ability to do that, it's just to be able to pick their brain or just to be around their energy that's a blessing, So it's a great, you're doing the work too though. So it's you get rewarded for you get rewarded for your work. You put this out into the universe, you put all this goodness into the universe, and then you get to have these cool experiences that you're cultivating for yourself and for other people.
Yeah. And just we finally have the infrastructure in place, right? So we have like a wood burning sauna. I think you've seen it, like stadium seating overlooking out the field. It's so nice, and a hot tub and a sweat lodge and a labyrinth and ceremony space and a big fire pit. All that stuff's been built over the years so that we can have an event like we did, because like really all that stuff came into play besides the labyrinth and the sweat lodge in that particular instance. But we're trying to really create enough heart-led activities possible there. All of these things are possible so that we can host events that we can get the people we want to be with to come, and then that's where that magic happens. Yeah,
you had like even the level of the ingredients that you were using and like the cookies that you were serving, were like high end, not bad flour, not bad flour,
vegan, gluten free,
just
made with love.
Yeah, it was a special event. There's I want to ask though. I always thought, like, when you were talking about the sauna, because I've always seen the sauna over there, I thought that like was the sweat lodge, and you were just calling like what you were what's the sweat lodge?
No, we have a traditional Native American sweat lodge at the bottom of the hill by the water. So my mentor, so the quick story, I'm an avid snowboarder and been snowboarding for a long time out west, East Coast, and I was getting a little bit more brazen and arrogant with my snowboarding skills, and it was a day I shouldn't have been riding in the woods that I was, and I nailed a tree with my knee. I really messed my knee up, and I have physical therapy friends. I was trying to heal it. Nothing was touching. I couldn't bend my knee months later. It was really bad, and I was talking to my best friend in California, and he's like, "Hey, you should go see my dad. He's a chiropractor in New Hampshire." And I was like, "What's a chiropractor going to do to help my knee?" And sure enough, this man helped my knee as a chiropractor, adjusting my spine. And getting to know this guy, he ends up being a mentor of mine. He knows every plant and animal in New England. He's just this extremely wise elder and knows the human body better than anyone I've ever met. And it's all this stuff I really want to know. And so he does Lakota tradition sweat lodges, and he offers to build one on the land. And then we have our first sweat lodge, and now it's built. So we have them like periodically. And it's, so it's a traditional, bring the hot rocks in, sit around inside.
How hot does it get? How does it work? I've never done a sweat lodge before. Like I've seen it like in movies and stuff, and heard about it and stuff, and seen like but I've never actually like looked into what it actually is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful process. So everyone enters together. It's a very short building, so you're hunched in there. You got to crawl in, right? And it's pitch black. It's saplings that are bent over into the frame, and then a bunch of blankets and stuff on top to keep all the heat and the light out and the heat in. And then you have this massive fire outside, and you're burning huge logs. You build this fire out really, really big and high, and you put a bunch of rocks in. When everyone goes in, there's a firekeeper that will pitchfork one rock at a time, hand it off to antlers on the inside, and you put it into this dugout circle in the middle, and it's burning hot red. That's all you can see. And then you can regulate temperature by pouring water on top of it. And so the flaps get closed. It's pitch black. And then there's 4 rounds for each direction, north, east, west, south. And there's medicine for each direction. Right, so they're all associated with a time of day and an animal and a lesson and some wisdom from that. And so he's going through, and there's circles. There's songs associated with each round, and then between rounds you can open to get a little air in. But it's a very challenging thing because it's extremely hot. I don't know. There's never like a thermostat in there.
Yeah, no, right.
I don't know how hot it gets. It's hot.
How long are you in there for?
Usually it's about an hour, but again, I'm not looking at the time. I'm not paying attention to anything. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to stay present and stay grounded, because it's one of those things where you freak out. You're like, I want to get out of here. Like the first time, I'm like, there's not enough air in here. We're going to all suffocate. Like there's no way this can be healthy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's your body and your mind freaking out, like get me out of here.
Yeah, survival. We need to survive our nervous system. What the fuck are we doing in here, dude? We need to get out of here right now.
So it's about breathing through that and trusting and getting.
Can you do a breakdown real quick of not just one of the directions? So like pick like, I don't know, north and say what's the animal for north? What's the song?
Oh,
like
boy.
what would that be? What does it look like to somebody who has no idea what you're talking about, i.e. me?
Yeah, so the north is the time of day is nighttime, midnight. So it's dark. And the animal is the bear. And the lessons of winter. And so it's about going inward and slowing down. And that this hibernation with the bear. And really honing in on your intentions for the next year and slowing down enough to pay attention to what you're bringing in next and planning ahead. And I've been in 15 to 20 lodges. I'm still not an expert at this. I can't lead them yet. This would be a whole process for me to be able to do this. So I wish I knew more about each direction. I wish I could just teach you both about, the north, but that's what I can do from memory.
No, that was perfect. That was because that's when I heard direction, animal, thought process, all I heard was, so you're in a hot room, and then what? I face north, and I say, hey, I'm a monkey. Like, I don't, what am I supposed to? I didn't really understand what you meant, but that makes a lot more sense where it's tied to, like you said, the hibernation process. So I get that, inward looking.
Yeah, intentional thinking. Now, when's the next time you're doing a sweat lodge?
It's funny. I've been really craving it. It's been a little while because we had the birth, right, 18 weeks ago-ish.
Yep.
Today. And, things changed drastically, as you know. But I was ill-prepared, I guess. I didn't have expectations, so this has been a huge shift for me. Like, I was an avid gym goer. I haven't been to the gym since he's been born. I haven't been in a sweat lodge. I mean, there was certain things that we were just focused on him. And so, I'm due. It's part of, I've been kind of struggling a little lately.
Yeah.
Needing some medicine. A sweat lodge would do the trick probably.
Well, yeah, I would love to be a part of that with you and to do that with you and to get you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you in, Jacob?
Seems like a hard no for me, but I really appreciate everybody else doing it. But it seems terrifying and sweaty.
That's kind of the nice part, though.
Yeah, it's a nice part.
Nice
the only way is through, but I hear you. There's other ways through for you.
We're gonna film
just the whole cover it with blankets. Everything's gonna get real hot, and then you leave when we leave. Like, I don't, you know what? I'll stay outside with the air is. I'm fine.
Yeah, can you be the fire keeper?
Now that I would be willing to do. Get my little pitchfork out, move rocks from outside to in. That I would do.
That's an honor. It is an honor to be the fire keeper. And sometimes if you don't have a dedicated person that's staying out, it's someone who sits closest to the door that has to come out. You're all sweaty and hot. You come out into the winter and you're freezing and you're stoking the fire and burying rocks and you pass them in.
I'm well insulated. I could stay outside in the wintertime and just do the fire thing for you guys, no problem.
Giddy out. We got our fire keeper. Yeah, I is it always in the winter?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I enjoy it a lot more in the winter.
Yeah.
It's kind of brutal coming out of the sweat lodge into the summer heat. And it's just a hot, sweaty mess the entire time. It's nice, the extremes, obviously the health benefits of like cold plunges and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's really just really nice going from the hot sweat lodge and getting finally warm to your bones and then coming out and cooling off and then getting back in. I love it this time of year especially.
Yeah, like this time of year, as in like where the snow's not on the ground quite yet. It's cold, but it's not too cold.
Yeah.
Oh man, we gotta set one of these up ASAP. And I'm a new dad, just like you are. I happen to be about 10 months ahead of you. I also, my gym went away for a little while, and my sweat lodges, aka my dancing, went away for a little while, and that's part of life. That's ebbs and flows. But I think that it's important, very important for you as the leader of your community and just as a human being to be the best dad possible. and to be able to show up for your son the best possible, to show up for your family the best possible, to start getting back in the gym a little bit, and to, to start integrating that back into your life and carving out a little bit of that space for yourself. And I know it's so challenging because you just want to be with this baby and you want to be there for your family, and when you're not doing that, you want to be earning for that family. That's how it goes. It's like we have this switch in us that just, this is how it goes. It's been happening for, tons of generations. And, it's important. I want you to hear that you got to get back into it, because if we don't create that for ourselves, if we don't have the good foundation, everything else crumbles. And I know you know this. We got to keep saying it to each other, 100%, man.
Oh yeah, It's funny. I call it iron therapy. When I go to the gym, I weightlift heavy weights. Right, I'm my powerlifting background, and it's iron therapy for me. And it's not aesthetics. I just feel better. It's just it's all the hormone stuff that's happening, but it's just the dedication and the discipline of going that I think is really helpful for my confidence level and just my mental well-being. And this is the sacrifice, because I have a feeling every baby's different. And I have no point of comparison. This is my first child, but really I'm just supporting Emily, my wife, who's supporting my baby, right? And so, not that I can't, it's hard if I'm gone all day at work, right, to then take more time to go to the gym when I should be or can be supporting her, who's 24/7, 365, supporting the baby, is a handful.
Yeah. 100%. And you guys are still in that, 4 months, mom is still feeding every, couple of hours, you're still in it. I'm just saying you need to be in, for me is what I started to do is to say, okay, I need to start, I can feel it in my body. I need to be more intentional with this. And I know exactly what you're saying, man, with feeling it in your body. Recently we have an ad partner, On Target Fitness, and I do personal training over there. I've been going for like 8 weeks now, and I can't even tell you how my life has changed. Like we need to lift weights. We need to use our muscles, and we sit so much. And when the Lakota were building lodges, they didn't have to worry about this because they weren't sitting down. They weren't sitting down like we do. And so we need to do this in our life, or we won't be healthy. We'll die young. We won't be mentally equipped human beings to be able to handle the situations that we need to handle. But it's ebbs and flows, and sometimes you need to make the sacrifice and go through it. And I think you're just in that right now. What I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to to support my my wife even more, my partner. She sometimes I have to go. I try to be home to to support her and to be there. Like I said, I'm at work and she's doing her thing, and so and my wife works as well. My wife works full time. She does. Our baby goes to daycare at her work, which is incredible. We're very blessed for that. But then she likes to go home and spend time with him. But she also likes to be supported in that we have dogs, and she would rather be with him and then being bothered by these dogs and having to deal with all the rest of the chores of the house. And sometimes she doesn't want to have to change every single diaper. Sometimes she would like me to help with that stuff, and I love to do that. I love to spend that time. But I found like if I can do that, 4 days a week, and then on the weekends, can also, 1 day a week, I can get to the gym a few times here and, and bake it into my schedule a little bit more. And, like I said, I had to do it because I'm doing some personal training. And so I said, okay, I'm making this commitment to myself, and you're close. You're close, man. I know when we have these new kids and being new dads, we just want to be there and support. And, but you gotta take care of Josh too.
Sure. Yeah. I think this is part of men's work. And this is what we were just talking about with the men's circle, which was Friday, the third Friday of every month. Right. So, we made vision boards as our activity this month. Right. So it's a great activity to do in December. Vision board, just, okay, what just happened this year and what do I want to bring in for next year, and the manifestation power of that. I still have the vision board I made for the Hive, which is kind of creepy to look at now, because it's like we listed off all the attributes of a home that we wanted, and we like nailed it, right? And so it's like the power of that is great. So we're making vision boards, and we're just talking about how this constant juggling of in my opinion, a man is heart-led of service, right? And so it's just hard to juggle all of the things when you're of service to your family and your community and to your work, to yourself, right? it's hard to juggle all that. It doesn't seem like there's enough hours in the day to take care of my family, work to make enough money to do the things I want to do, and to also fill up my cup while I'm running a community that has all these events and all. This old house, it's so frustrating. Fixing things, it's all custom made because it's an 1860s farmhouse. Nothing's level, nothing's even. It's just a never-ending list of things to fix or recreate or build, and so it's very time consuming, and so it's this juggling act that I will balance out eventually. I know I'm still new into this. It's 18 weeks in, but trying to, as a man in society, make enough money for your family in enough time, also be there for your family, have some sort of like community life, which I think is really vital. I think it's one of the necessities in this day and age to be like happy.
Mm-hmm.
It is to have some sort of community, whether that's AA or a sports team or just a bunch of friends that you've been with for a while that you do stuff with, whatever that is. I think that's really important. And so mine just so happens to be like a very high motion community that takes a lot of work to manage. And it's the sacrifice I'm making of my own like personal cup filling activities. I haven't been able to do as much yet.
Yeah, it's like an ongoing battle, and I do. It's like I guess it's just a. Let me ask you this: Is it just the struggle that like men would have to go through, and we'll always have to go through, and we just have to keep making that balance, or is it a societal problem where we should be making, we should be able to be with our families a little bit more and being taken care of, and not like money shouldn't. Money is such a driver, and spending so much time at work to make that money is the driver of what keeps us away from filling our cup and keeps us away from spending time with our families.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I certainly don't have the answer. It's like the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday thing is brutal. It's just like I can't even, like if I want to go get my tires done or do an oil change or do something, these businesses are also open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and so I can't really do those things because I'm at work, right? And it's a blessing and a curse. I have a great job. It pays what I need it to pay to have the lifestyle I want to have, but I'm sacrificing a huge chunk of my time. The non-working, non-sleeping time is very, very small in a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. I think if I had a job that was Monday through Thursday or a half a day one of these days, I think that would make me feel a lot happier.
I think it's the key. It's like if just like make the work day like 4 days, give people 3 days off and like watch what will happen to the world. Watch what will happen to productivity.
Oh yeah.
Well, the 9 to 5 day a week was Henry Ford back when he needed to make money. It wasn't based on anything that's tangible or real or important.
Industrial complex.
Yeah, it was one rich dude who needed labor to not be angry with him. So that's basically how it was created. Like, it wasn't like it was based on any good science. It was just, how can I get them to keep making my cars without revolting?
Yeah.
You get 2 days off a week. Like, that was it.
Yeah, you get 2 days. You were working for me 8 to 8 with no benefits at all, nothing. And now we're going to, okay, I'll give you 2 days off. Or you can maybe you had the day off. They probably had Sunday off because they were, I think Ford was a God guy,
Yeah, he probably did do Sundays for church or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Yeah, but it was 6 days a week, 8 to 8, like you said.
6 days a week, 8 to 8. And then it says, okay, fine, we'll give you 2 days off. We'll give you one more day off, and we'll give you 9 to 5. And the people are like, yes, giddy up, sure, we'll give you all of our lives and all of our family. And it's like, man, that's the way, the separation of, this is a great segue, but the separation of wealth that we have in this country, that we have in this world, of the people who have the money and want to control the money, in the last 30 years, there's been a $500 trillion transfer of wealth from the bottom 90% to the top 10%. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, man. And it, another thing that you're doing in your community is you are hosting presidential candidates. And someone that you had there that I got to go see last night was Marianne Williamson. And that was a great event. She spoke with, she was heart-led, and with intention. And, I felt very empowered after hearing her talk and what her vision is for this country. And she's not wrong. She has a lot of good policy in place and ideas how to tackle some of the issues. And at the same time, she says, hey, we we need a vision. We need somebody here. We need something that's a little bit different. And I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah. And it's funny. Some of the guidelines I have in men's circles, like any topic is welcome except for politics, right? And so I try and stay out of it. It's like I want to encourage like the sex and religion and those taboo subjects, but not politics. So it's so divisive and it's such its own entity altogether. Someone's political views are so ingrained. It's like, it's hard to have an emotional, mature conversation with someone about politics, especially if they're not emotionally mature. Because it's not, we're not coming to the conversation trying to understand each other. It's like, I want to make my point because my politics view is better than you. And so it's like, I was even hesitant, like, ooh, do I want to host a politician here? Because now the Hive is synonymous with Marianne Williamson, and so we must agree politically. It's this whole thing. I know that's not the case, but that might be the optics of it, right? And so, but yeah, we hosted Marianne Williamson, and yeah, I was definitely getting chills. She was firing me up. It was definitely inspirational. I had never really been to anything like that, right? And so it was really cool to hear her talk. And I just think I am not well-read in politics. I do not spend any time on it. And so, like, it's ignorant, but I just feel like it can't get any worse. So let's try a woman and a spiritual person in office and see if that's better, because it's not like the old white dude in office is like played out and it's not good. So let's try something drastically different. Someone spiritual and a woman. That change is worth it for me to try and see if that would elicit the changes that we really think we need.
And it's 4 years.
Yeah.
And so, like, if worst case, we just go back to the fucking old white dudes who are in the establishment. Like, why not give it a little bit of a try? Why not try a little bit something different? I like Marianne Williamson. I like Robert Kennedy Jr. I think that I want a disruption to the two-party system. And I think that, they may be capable of doing it. I will say that, because I always do hear that when you say, no politics at the men's circle. And I do think that at the men's circle that you lead, you would actually get a lot of breakthroughs in people in the way that these men come together and are able to share perspective and actually hear each other. And I think that would I think the reason that it shouldn't be done is because it would take up the entire time, and we wouldn't get into the emotional work. We wouldn't get into the sex and the abuse and the trauma, and we wouldn't get into any of that stuff. And that stuff is more not. It's more important. It is more important because it's the foundation of the other stuff. If we're good men like that, then we're likely going to figure out how to elect good leaders.
Can I ask a question to the both of you, because I've never been in one of these men's groups? Do you think if you designated one to be about politics, if you set up to where you knew that you were going in for the 2 hours, I don't know how long it is, I didn't mean to over, but however long it is, if you went, okay, this is the one, because I feel like it's almost like the powers that be taboo of, we don't talk religion or politics. So the most two defining subjects of our personality we're not allowed to discuss with each other, that seems like that's divide and conquer. So would it be helpful to maybe set aside a men's group and go, hey, let's address why we disagree politically?
100%, and that's what I was getting at. I just didn't want to put the work on Josh, who's already stressed out, and say, "Hey, man, you got to run a regular men's circle, and then on the fourth Friday."
My fault, Josh. My fault. That's not what I meant. I did not mean to add to your plate. That was my fault. I was more of a
you
more
are
of a
not
curiosity.
adding.
More of a curiosity.
No,
My bad.
maybe I have to lead the circle. You know,
sure. And timeout. And I definitely want to be really careful. I'm not portraying myself as a victim, because I've been empowered to choose all the decisions that have led me to where I am, and so I'm not a victim of it. I'm just being honest and raw and authentic of, like, it's overwhelming. I'm stressed out, but it's like,
that's how it's coming across to me.
Sure. Thank you. But so politics, I think none of the principles that I have for the men's circle are set in stone. I'm starting to even question one of the guidelines that we have on the sharing circle, especially from that last men's circle. But yeah, it's co-collaborative, right? The council of men that lead the men's circle get to come together and make these kind of decisions. So if we want to introduce politics into the conversation, that's great. And really, I think where it's coming from is our childhood trauma around it. I know my dad, I love him. I do. But we do not align politically or religion. And we can't even have a conversation about it. I've actually made the boundary. I'm like we're not going to talk about this, because he gets so heated and he thinks he's right. and he's so opinionated. And I'm a Leo, I'm hard-headed, so it's like the two stubborn guys just like wailing our heads against each other. It's like, it's not helpful, right? And so it's like this, like, unless they're emotionally mature, I don't want to touch politics because it's just it's gonna make things worse between our relationship. But like sex and religion, I want to get in those conversations with men because I think we don't get to talk about it enough. And I think it's really important to talk about sex and religion with a bunch of like-minded guys and even non-like-minded guys. I think those are really big subjects that aren't talked about enough. How do we even get information about sex? Right? I got mine from locker room talk, and it was terrible advice. Terrible.
Yeah.
I led my life, and I was being really poor towards women because of what I learned in the locker room until a woman was like, don't do that. That's all of these reasons why this feels terrible for me. And it was just like this eye-opening moment, like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this wrong my whole life. And so, like, how do we learn about sex now in a healthy way? It's definitely not porn, and it's not on social media, and it's not with a bunch of frat guys. It's got to be at like a men's circle. It's got to be at like with men that actually have some groundedness to their sexuality and that have had some really good relationship with multiple women that are heart led and that, you know, like that can share some wisdom about it.
Yeah, I would add that your parents, like not only the father in this situation, if you know, to have this to lead this with your child, but all the mother, you know, to be feminine, especially with men. You know, I think I was blessed for some reason where my mother and I we had a relationship where I could talk to her about this stuff. I could ask her questions about, hey, what is, you know, what's sex? You know, what is this all? But, you know, and she kind of helped me understand I'm not perfect, and I definitely did a ton of things that were, you know, that who knows that, you know, I tried to. I don't think that I ever did anything that that was non-consenting or anything like that. But I don't know, you know, I don't know how other people were feeling because I didn't always ask because it wasn't necessarily a thing that was going on in young 18-year-old Steve's head. But I do like remember seeing like my friends and being like sometimes uncomfortable about the way that other people would treat women and other, you know, and I not that I was perfect. I wasn't like the going to save them or anything like that because I was allowing it to all happen, you know, under my nose. You know, I'd have house parties and I'd have, you know, who knows what bad stuff was happening. Maybe it was, I don't know, you know, and it's like now I know that would never happen under a place where I was having an event.
Sure.
But it's a thing that we don't have a place to go learn about it, or you know, like it's not, you know, like I was lucky, but I was one guy, you know, and who knows how lucky I was, you know, like to have that. That's, you know, we need places to go where we have a lot of different perspectives with boundaries and but also like free, you know, you call it freedom of radical expression,
radical freedom
from
from Burning Man.
Okay.
Yeah, one of their core principles. Yeah, it's consent. That was a serious question. Where are men supposed to learn about healthy sex? Anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a book, an article. I mean, you know what I mean? I think it's going to be best done in a men's circle type of environment with a bunch of guys, and we can like hash. We had a guy several months ago come with a question of like, how do you guys like transition if like you're getting a boner when you're like spooning a woman, but you either don't know if they want to go there or don't want to go there. Like, how do you navigate that? And there's a lot of good answers around. And it like these are the types of conversations I think need to be had, especially with young men that are just learning it, so they don't have to make the same mistakes that we made. And I'm with you. I think you go back on all partners of mine, and I don't think any of them were traumatized, but I also was persuasive. There wasn't not consensual. It was what I was taught in a locker room of you just keep pursuing women and you keep going around first, second, third, and home until they stop you, right? And it's like that toxic thinking of like, how many times did I do that and just steamroll the thing? It wasn't enjoyable for her. It wasn't enjoyable for me in hindsight. And how many guys can we stop from doing that early on? A lot. We could stop a lot of them just by having these healthy conversations and giving them the tools they need that I didn't have when I was their age.
Yeah, for me, it was like I was, when you said persuasive, it was, yeah, it's like, you know, you don't, you know, you're not sure, and you think it's flirting, right? You're like, oh, you know, are we doing this? You know, we're kind of want it to happen. We're not sure.
They like it. They want it.
Yeah, yeah, that is the exactly. They like it. They want it. I don't necessarily think I was like thinking that way, but I was definitely like, I was definitely like, when I was persuasive, I guess I kind of getting consent sometimes, because I would I would like, try to like flirt and be sexy or whatever, and like talk about it, like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and like, and then like I would, if she said no, then I wouldn't do it. I guess I should have asked, not that I shouldn't have said it, but like, like there's, I don't know. It's a good thing to talk about. It's a good thing to talk about, and for men to talk about, and to say like, hey, what is the best? And then also to have men who are informed by women, to say like, oh yeah, this is a question that we had. Like, how do you feel? How do you guys feel about this?
And not necessarily to like throw myself on the third rail, but I think it's important to distinguish that what you two are talking about is even more important in the sense that pre-pandemic, when the very necessary Time's Up and Me Too movements hit. Women throughout tearing down the patriarchy got a ton of resources on what to do with the patriarchy. Well, men were also brought up under the patriarchy and with the same set of odd rules, only no one gave us resources afterwards. They just went, well, you should have known better. Well, probably, no doubt. We should have been better. We were all just agreeing. We were all persuasive. We all didn't do consent the right way, but no one told us how. That has to be part of the conversation.
This is the issue, and I want to be a huge proponent on consent. I've been thinking a lot about legacy lately. What will be my legacy, right? It came with the birth of my child, and even just getting ready for him, like, what's my legacy? And I think about it when I think about death. I think about it with the community. What's my legacy? I want it to be integrity, and I want it to be consent. I would love to be this flag waver of consent, because I think it's lacking in a lot of areas, even professionally. Like, conversations, people will just offload their terrible day on you without even saying, hey, are you open to hearing something heavy that happened today? Right? They just vomit on you, and you're like, I've been having a shitty day too. I can't handle this. So it's like consent there all the way into like deep intimacies of consent. For me is slowing down enough to be aware of the other person. It doesn't always have to be verbal. It doesn't have to be, can I kiss you? Yes. Can I kiss you? No. Can I dance with you? Yes. It doesn't have to be. There's so much body language. There's so much information being shared when you're slowing down and paying attention, that you can learn and get consent. And then the verbal is just like an affirmation, a confirmation of what you already have picked up, just to make sure you weren't misreading something every now and then. But many women will share that consent can get to the extreme and get annoying. Where, can I touch your hand? Can I touch this finger? Can I move to your shoulder? It's like, that's too much, right? So life is about balance. We can have a balanced consent life. We don't have to do too much consent, and we also shouldn't have all of this assumption, persuasive, no consent. I think that's extremely terrible. I also think too much consent is what turns people off about consent. There's this whole middle ground, and I think it's really big. The dance community is great for consent. That's where I think I've really honed in on my consent skills. But 90% of my life, when I'm going to kiss a woman, before I ask, I already know it's going to be a yes. It's just that verbal confirmation, and it makes it sexier, and it really like brings the whole thing into a point. But there's very little no's, because I've already read that they want me to kiss them. It's just like, there's very few times where there was a no there, and I misread the whole thing. But yeah, if you're aware of someone, you can tell they're telling you everything you need to know if you just slowed down and paid attention.
Yeah, it's usually like pretty obvious, people are there. But I will say, like, that's the thing with guys, and especially when you have alcohol involved. That's why we need to teach them, is because they're taught to be persistent, and they just are, their frontal lobe is a little bit, impaired, and they just keep, they want to just keep, coming and coming, and just like, oh God. Jesus, they want to just keep, they just want to keep like, like it's, and that's exactly what we're talking about, is you need to have consent, and you need to have the middle ground, and, not go over the top with it, and not, I think that.
Yeah. And I'll share with this in case this helps any young men out there. I was so performance based. It's probably from watching porn as a kid, of like, I'm going to give her the best time of her life. She's going to like never forget this. And it was just this entertaining performance. I wasn't even present in the moment. I was just all up here thinking, she'll love this. I'm going to give her the best orgasm she's ever had. She's going to tell all her friends about it. It was just so up here. There was nothing in here. It was so empty. And it's just like, it would have been so much better to just not even be about the destination, just enjoy the journey, not about coming, not even about ejaculating whatsoever.
Yep.
Put that away. That is not the goal tonight. We're just going to be intimate and have a good time, right? And how much better of an experience for everyone that would have been, right? And so this is what I'm sharing to you young men out there is it's not about coming. It's not about that orgasm. It's not. Enjoy, slow way down, enjoy it. Take your time, go through the little things. Don't rush into the, in Tantra, the penis insertion is like the last little smallest chunk of the whole intimacy thing, This is, I'll get off my soapbox now, but yes, slow down. Don't make it about the destination. It's the journey. And we know that from life, right? It's, can't be destination based.
Definitely can't be destination based. The only way is through. And that's with this is like you need to go through the experience and you need to and you're going to become like this. You're going to learn about yourself. You're going to learn about the person that you're engaging with, all these like cool things that you just, you've told me once that, in something that I truly believe, like intimacy isn't the same as sexuality. They absolutely intermingle a lot of the time, but they're not always, dependent upon one another. So if you go into a situation saying like, okay, I'm going to be, intimate and bring love, and you can do that with a man. You can do that with a man. It doesn't have to be sexual. I dance with guys. I dance with people. I'm not. I don't want to kiss them on the mouth like I do a girl, but it's a different. That's sexual. That's a sexual reaction, and like just bring into that. Yes, as young men, we're so like driven by the hormones and by that ability to want to orgasm. But if you just take the time to be intimate and to not have it be destination based, that's really great advice.
Yeah, intimacy it's one of my favorite things. I don't like superficial anything. I really am a depthy kind of guy, right? And so it's like I want depth in my relationships with people. And so that takes intimacy, right? And so like me and my housemate can be naked in a sauna together, Mitchell, right? Mm-hmm. That's very intimate. It's not sexual in the least bit. There's nothing sexual about it. I'm not attracted to men, and so they do come together, but they also can be completely separate, intimacy and sexuality. Just like nudity, you can be intimate and nude with someone. It doesn't have to be sexuality. Just because you're nude doesn't mean you're sexual, right? So this is a huge shift that needs to happen in terms of like, I think that's what men miss when they're not having sex isn't really just the sex, it's the intimacy. Because intimacy feels really good, and holding hands and going swimming with someone and giggling and pillow talk, and there's a huge list I could rattle off. That the intimacy things, those are the things that really feel good. The sexual is like icing on the cake, or just a whole separate piece to it. Important, but in a completely different way and separate of the intimacy in a lot of ways.
Yeah, separate of the intimacy, and separate, like how you said, separate of the nudity. Because like I have found out in my life that I like to be naked. I like to have my clothes off, and I find places where I can do that and be comfortable doing that. And so that's a lot of beaches. And I go up and I have a lot of intimate experiences with people that when we're both naked, we have an intimate friendship conversation and talk. To maybe it's a man, maybe it's a woman. And I would say that's like most of the people who are getting that experience is like, 95% of the people who are on like nude beaches or going, that's what they want. They just want to be out in nature. For me, I wanted my body to feel the sun, and I wanted to see what it felt like. And I also wanted to be like comfortable with my body. Men, we have our penis, and like we're always like, that's another thing. We're always so self-conscious of it. Or is it big enough? Does it look weird? Is it am I circumcised or uncircumcised? Is this weird? So like I wanted to just throw myself out there and be like, this is me, and I'm comfortable with it. And it's a subconscious thing, right? So I was like, okay, I want to overcome that. I wasn't, as thin as I am today. I feel like I'm a lot healthier today. And so I was just, okay, I need to just expose my body, because I need to be comfortable with who I need to be comfortable in my skin, regardless if I want to lose some weight and I want to get there. I need to be comfortable in it. And I learned so much from these like conversations that I've had with people when we've just been, buck naked talking to each other, and the intimate, what I've learned about myself, what I've learned about the world. It's been life changing for sure. And then like the next thing is like the sauna thing. Like it's I am always, that's when it is allowed. I'm gonna take off my clothes. It's the traditional proper way to do it, and that's always a funny thing because it's not. I don't have a sauna at my house. I'm going to a gym. And you have like a
amateur.
Yeah, amateur, exactly. I'll get there. We have and I love the sauna. I love the sauna. I love steam rooms. I love the heat. I love the get back to switch it back and forth between the cold. It's so it helps my nervous system a lot, and I know that there's like a group. There's like 10% of us that take our clothes off at the gym, and then and then there's the 90% who just probably think that we're weird.
Yeah, funny story of that because I'm almost exactly the same as you. So I was in Utah, and there's a hot springs there. There's a long hike out, beautiful. It's got like multiple pools. There's hundreds of people there, kids, adults, elders, all sorts of, and it's got this reek of sulfur, like a lot of these hot springs do out west, especially. And it's pretty gross. Like the water's like sulfury, gross. Like it's obviously not man-made, right? So it's just like grimy and dirty, and like I can't wait to get in, but I am not getting my bathing suit all and it's Utah, which Utah is a very weird, unique state with all that because of the huge Mormon population. And so along the hike on the way there, and I'm with friends, I know I'm going to be naked, and there's all these signs that say nudity is free, and like, let's all be, and I get there, and there's hundreds of people there, not one person's naked. It was very strange, and I had never been to a hot spring out west that everyone wasn't naked. So I got naked and went in, and people were like, wow, you're so brave. And it's like, no, I just really wanted to show everyone that this is okay. It's not sexual. And I don't care if there's kids and elders around, this is something it felt really important to me at the time of like, I need to do this for me and for everyone else. And it was a little awkward. It was.
Yeah, but people saw it as like some people you saw were empowered by it and said like that's you made your point.
I don't know, maybe I'll never know.
Yeah,
but it was important for me. It just felt like one of those like choices in life where I'm like I'm good. This makes all the sense to me. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not gonna just like.
They're telling me it's okay. This is an okay thing. Like why are we? And that's why is Utah? I get it because of the Mormons, but why didn't you would have figured that the Mormons got into the state legislature and turned that off? Said no nudity.
I don't know again, this might sound really ignorant. I don't know Mormon religion very well. I worked with a lot of guys from Utah that were Mormon, and there was something about nudity. They wore white underwear, and there was some intimacy where they weren't.
They have what's known as protective underwear, like pajamas meets underwear, and as long as they wear, I think they get. I'm not going to butcher it too badly, but I believe they're gifted them at a certain level. And then they protect them from harm. They can't be stabbed if they're wearing them, shot, killed, whatever, because it's protective. So, I mean, it's not as strange as it is. It's not really that much more strange than any of the other religious tenets that other religions have. It just it's protective underwear.
Yeah, and so
can it actually help you? Is it like Kelvar? Like
Teflon?
I'm guessing it's not literal. It's more godlike.
Okay, yeah.
So
like
when wearing that, God will make sure you don't get stabbed.
Me.
Not so much as like, hey, come shoot me in my underwear. Guessing it's not going to go well.
So it's coming from a place of ignorance. I'm admitting that. It's just like I've spent a lot of time in Utah. I just know it's a weird alcoholic wise, nudity wise. There's just a lot of religion undertones to everything, and so it didn't surprise me that was the state where that was happening. Like it didn't surprise me that there was that many clothed people at the hot springs. It was a little surprising that I was literally the only one out of hundreds of people.
Yeah. Where are these other hot springs that you get to take your clothes off at?
I've been to a lot in like Northern California and Southern Oregon, where it's encouraged and there's I've been to 5, 6, 7 of them several times, and I haven't seen anyone with clothes on. Right?
Cool. It's like a cool hike out there. Or?
Yeah, they're all absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. I gotta do it. You'll have to give me. I'll have to make that trip sometime to go.
Well worth it, and it's one of the reasons I don't like the East Coast as much. Is we don't have anything like that, and there's a bunch of beautiful ones out there.
Yeah, we don't have anything like that. It's not. There's nothing comparable. Now, when you went out there, was it all like separate times, or did you like go out there and do like a couple of hikes and go to a couple of hot springs?
Yeah.
So you already got the itinerary ready for me to go.
Oh yeah.
Oh, giddy up,
I'm a
baby.
good source for that.
Oh, giddy up. I love it.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of them like throughout like Montana and Idaho. That whole area of the United States is absolutely gorgeous and has a bunch of beautiful ones. But I can't speak personally from those. But the ones in Southern Oregon were my favorite.
Southern Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go check it out when it gets. It's better to go when it's warm, obviously, right? Like when's the best time of year to go?
I'd say fall.
Fall. Okay,
Yeah,
fall.
So it's a little cold. So
Little
you can
cold.
Get nice and warm inside.
Yeah, because the springs are actually like really hot, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like a hot tub.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, 100 degrees.
You've never been?
I've never been to a hot spring, man.
Oh my gosh, man, it's great.
Yeah, it's like it's all I want to do. I would love to take that trip, and maybe we'll take a dad trip. Not in a little bit.
Hashtag dad trip.
Hashtag dad trip. Giddy up. Yeah, man. I want to. That's the thing is I want to travel, and then that's the thing. Like, will you take your son with to like when is that an appropriate thing to do?
Yeah, anytime.
Anytime.
I mean, he's obviously too young at this point to like go in.
Yeah, right.
But like, as soon as he's old enough and Emily thinks it's safe, like I would love to introduce him to all that early on because that's.
Yeah.
This is like the thing is
hashtag dad and son trip.
Yeah, we're so detached from like primal, just like how we were in ancient times, like where nudity was norm, like before there was like this is all stuff we've just kind of been so far removed from. It seems weird now, but it's weird for me in hindsight of like, why is this weird? It's as natural as it possibly could be. Is a human being getting in water naked. That's what baptism was. I mean, I've been in the oldest mikveh in the world in Israel where Jesus was said to be baptized, and we're all just stood naked in a line waiting to go in one at a time, right? And it's like, that's as natural and normal and religious and spiritual as it can get. Why is it weird for me to do that in Utah or anywhere?
That's amazing. You guys, they're doing naked baptisms?
Yeah, so the oldest mikveh in the world, it was like a law. You could not... There was nothing between you and the water. There couldn't be.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. It's just like that's not that's not how I don't think that's how many people over here do it. I think that they're like I've seen fully. You see like the fully clothed, like completely clothed being dipped into the water.
Well, obviously in the church setting, it'd be a little weird if people were butt naked and everyone else was clothed. That's kind of the weird thing is like usually nudity is with an activity. You're not just sitting there naked. Right. That's more of like a nudist colony type. Like most of the time you're swimming or sexuality.
Hiking sexuality.
There's
you're doing
something involved, and so with a church baptism,
sunbathing.
It'd be a little weird if you were naked getting baptized and everyone else was clothed.
Yeah. Maybe everyone should show up naked. But then it's a sitting.
But then
you're right.
So that's why.
Yeah, you're right. That is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that is weird.
But and again.
But maybe it should be a different ceremony. Why are people coming to this baptism? You don't need to come. Maybe it's a thing that it's right. Isn't that what's supposed to baptism? Isn't it your relationship with God? Or
sure.
so like you should. Maybe it should be a private ceremony, like like they're doing in Israel.
Yeah, I mean, so I went on my birthright trip, my taglit, in my late 20s, and it's wild. And I'm ignorant. I am Jewish by descent only, not religiously. So everything I learned was like in 2 weeks in Israel. But men are so sinful that we need to baptize every day in that culture, and women only right before and right after their moon when they're impure. But men are so impure that we need to do it on a daily basis. Women twice a month. So yeah, that's the sinful creatures that we are.
This is like Orthodox.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Strict
Orthodox, and they're going to a mitzvah to do
the mikvah.
The mikvah, excuse me, mitzvah is.
I think mikvah, by what I collected from it, and I don't speak Hebrew, was just a natural collection of natural water. I think that, but I'm sure some of these in practical terms are doing it in a bathtub if they need to that day.
Oh, okay,
I don't know. Again, ignorant 2 week trip.
Yeah, right.
That's all I picked up.
Collection of water is correct.
Nice.
Boom.
Yeah, boom, baby. Giddy up. Now, this is obviously like a sensitive topic, but like, do you have any opinion on what's going on over there now?
Yeah, I again, ignorance. Haven't spent a lot of time on it. So I like to have these disclaimers. I'm ignorant. It hurts. It hurts to not be able to do anything about it in terms of what I actually think I can help with. I know when I was in Israel, you're surrounded by 22 countries that want to wipe you off the face of the earth. And in order to feel any sense of security, you need to have your defenses up at all times. Everyone's walking around armed, sitting on the bus with people and, AKs strapped around them, not in military clothing. So it's a completely different world over there. But yeah, you felt that energy. At any second, a bomb could go off and blow the entire country, right? And it's like basically half of New Jersey is inhabited. That's what we're talking about as far as Israel and the country. And so I think the extreme of them getting attacked is we need to attack tenfold to prove that we can defend ourselves and that they shouldn't do it again. And so, like, obviously that's not the answer. It's an eye for an eye, right? It's not a good idea. I get why they think that way. I don't think it's right. And it's terrible what's happening.
No, we just need love, and that's what I my producer got mad at me for bringing it up, which I understand. It's such a taboo topic, I suppose, but I just have we're two heart-led men and two heart-led, who grew up differently, and I grew up the same, grew up differently, have different experiences, and are just heart-led men. That's what I'm getting at, and there just needs to be more love in the world. Like, we don't want any bad stuff to happen. And I definitely understand from both sides. It fucking sucks and it's long, but there's not, more death and violence isn't going to be the answer. It's never the answer.
I don't know how to achieve it, but it seems clear to me that, like, even going as far as the example I'm going to give is like the Olympics, of like this national pride needs to end. This divisive, like, we're 200 countries all spread out and we're all different. Like, I think we need to keep our culture, our differences. I think that's really important on this, like, smaller scale. But on this larger scale, we're all on the same planet. We're all human beings. And I think this competition to be the best country, or my country can throw a javelin farther than your country, all of this stuff needs to stop immediately, because it's just causing further divide. And I think that's at the root of what's happening in the world. Is there shouldn't be war. There's plenty to go around in terms of resources and land. I think everyone just needs to stay where they are, cultivate their culture from within, support their, like, small communities, and that would heal the world, because we don't need to be competing and bombing each other anymore. That's just, it's ancient. We're way past that now. I was born in 86. I thought by 2023 we'd be floating around. Like, I like when I was, like, in the 90s picturing 2023, I was like Marty McFly, like floating around. The cars weren't touching the ground. We're like floating on our, like, I just wonder what we're doing. I wonder how we're not there yet. I wonder why we're still fighting over stupid stuff. I wonder why I'm driving, why people are still littering. It's concerning for me. It's really disorienting. I don't understand why there's so much hatred, and why people want to remove entire countries and civilizations off the map still. It's out of fear. And Marianne Williamson talked about this last night. The only way to get rid of fear is love. But it just seems impractical. You're fearful, I'm just going to love you, and the fear goes away. I think we're missing some steps there, and I haven't figured it out. Obviously, I would run for president if I did, or something. But I think the Olympics is my best example. I think that the whole competition, all that stuff needs to stop.
Get together instead for, like, a couple of sweat lodges, and a couple of cold plunges and ceremonies, and some cacao ceremonies, and imagine that like, if you got leaders together and had them experience that stuff together, and then not only did that, but then got people from different cultures together and had them do things like that. It's very, when you do stuff like that, you very quickly, or when you connect with other human beings in any way, you very quickly realize, oh shit, we're 99.9% alike, all of us, and it's seeing that is the most important thing. Is we're all the same. Love is the only way, and I haven't figured it out. That's, maybe I'd be right. Maybe I will figure it out, and I will run for president someday. Who knows? But maybe you'll figure it out, and like, you can together, people coming. That's how I think it's going to happen. Is it's going to be, necessarily me and you, me and Josh, saving the world. But no, people who are good leaders they're gonna come and emerge, and they're gonna show themselves. And the universe has a funny way of, we need that in the world right now. We need that to push forward. We need love to be the only answer. And we are the ones who manifest everything that we want in this world as human beings. And so we need to figure out how to do that. But we're talking about it. So it's inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. There will be, a lot more love than there is on the earth right now. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, I think it needs to start from in out, right? It's like you yourself first, and then your immediate family and your immediate community and your immediate town, right? And if everyone did that, that's the ripple we're looking for. I don't think we can. It's just going to be like a Thanos. The whole world's healed or peaceful or no one's fighting anymore. That's way too big of a task, right? It's way too far outreach to actually grab onto. It has to happen on the smallest scale. Every cell in your body first, and then outwards from there.
And to take those leaders, the people who start and say, okay, I know what I need to do, so I'm going to heal myself first, and I'm going to get ready for this, and then I'm going to bring that to my small community, and then in hopes that other leaders like that are doing that and teaching people how to live and how to be better and how to to fight back versus what's happening.
Yeah.
I think that it's really hard to do that though, because it's society. It right now, the multimedia, there's quite a few people who are listening to this show, but it's not who's listening to Fox and CNN. And when you say like the box that people are, the community, and it would spread so far, it's like for that to happen, we would need someone like you telling, people listening to this podcast, realizing that people like you exist and that you can do this and that this is the hard work that it takes, and people need to be willing to do the hard work and the manipulation of the media. It takes so much of our time. It takes so much of our time, and that's a system that I would like to break down somehow. I'd like to, where it's not that's what's making people divisive, is that they watch the news and that they have these opinions. It's this information that they're being fed because they're not able to. They're busy. They're working full time. They're doing this, and they can't spend all the time to go get the real information and to study or to educate themselves on how to get that good information. That's really challenging to do.
This is what the universe is telling us with all that. All I heard was we need to slow down. I love that. You guys just breathe deeply together. We need to slow down. Do you ever notice when you're really late, you hit every traffic light?
Of course.
Because you're rushing. And the universe is like, slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I'm saying this, I need to do it. You need to do it. We need to slow down. And not get wrapped up in all that, because I think maybe not nefariously, but maybe on purpose, but maybe just the circumstances. Society is this way, and it's perpetuating this rat race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Eat,
it
sleep,
is.
work, go to sleep, do it all again, right? Like, slow down.
Slow down and take our power back. That's what we need to do. And I don't know, it's going to be challenging because the systems are in place and society is in place to want us to keep going. But that's what we got to do, is we got to slow down. And it just starts with one person. You show, you help show me, you say, hey, help, you definitely have that effect on me. Every time we're around, you articulate in a good way, you slow down, you breathe, and we have to be intentional with it. And I think that's what I get from you.
Yeah. I want to be a good listener. That's slowing down, right? Active listening and not cutting someone off because you don't want to forget what you want to say. That's you being up here, right? And you're a really good listener too. And I think that's why these conversations go really well. And yeah, slowing down is medicine I need. And this is why I'm one of those weirdos that likes winter. I lived in SoCal for years, right? I don't need the seasons because it's nostalgic or whatever. It's how I grew up. It's because I really love the changing of the season. I love what the medicine gives you in each season. In winter, it forces me to slow down because I do too much. I'm running around. Emily's always like, dude, slow down, right? I'm like a little ball of stress. I have all this stuff I got to do. In winter, I don't have all the farming I need to do, right? I don't have all the events. Everything just slows down. I love it. It's my favorite time of year to actually do the stuff in here that needs to be done. And less of all that, and less go, do all this, got to get to the beach, all that stuff. Winter is a nice season for that.
Yeah, I gotta take a little more appreciation for winter because I'm always just mad about how cold it is. And like, it's only for like the first like month and a half, and then my body gets used to it, and we're like, okay, we're good. But I like that. I like that perspective. I think that, the winter is such, you just naturally do it. Like every fall I start to, it starts to happen. And then I start to just settle in a little bit. And then I kind of, hibernate and do my thing a little bit. And because I love to be out and I love to, during the summertime, holy shit, the energy that I have is incredible. It's like if the sun is up, I'm up. And then when the sun goes down, I'm up too. And it's like, I can just go. I don't have to sleep as much, but in the wintertime, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm. Not supposed to be.
Not supposed to be. The universe is a funny thing. And I'm gonna tell a quick story here before we sign off. But I see Josh, and I think Josh is a very handsome guy. And I have a friend from high school who I think looked like Josh. And when I saw Josh and I met him, I was like, holy shit, this guy looks like Josh. And when I a couple of weeks ago, it was at Porangui, I went up to Josh and I finally said to him, I said, hey man, you look like my friend. You look like my friend. And when I see him, and he goes, oh yeah, I went to France with that guy, or I went to Italy with that guy. I'm like, what? Like, are you like, that is unfathomable. And then he pulls up a picture from like 9 years ago, and she says, oh yeah, this guy. And I'm like, unbelievable. Was it my friend who told me first? That it was, it was it was my friend who told me first. My friend was like, wait a second, I think I told my friend about it. And then he was like, I think I went to, yes, I told my friend first. I was like, you look like, because I saw my friend at a high school reunion, which was great. And I said, hey, you have this buddy and I showed him a picture of you. And he says, holy shit, that's what I went to Italy with this guy. And then I got to tell you about that at Porangui. And I just knew that the universe had connected us, through that and just, the good vibes. And it's just goes back to the universe. If you allow it to, things are going to fall into place for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Where your focus goes, energy flows, whatever that saying is. It's, if I think about all these people, when you step back and you talk about ceremony, I love ceremony because there's a clear opening and a clear closing. There's this container that you've created, right? And a lot of it is done through these traditions that we've gotten from our ancestors, right? And these indigenous people of like Palo Santo or sage or mapacho, right? A lot of these plant medicine ceremonies and whatnot are bookended by those things, and they're protected with the smoke. And their philosophy is they'll teach you the smoke is a prayer going to the heavens. And then I drive around and I see all these people on their break from work, puffing down a cigarette, all stressed out. All their stress is going as prayers to the heavens. And they don't even know. And they're just perpetuating this misery of life over and over because they are completely unaware of this cycle. And so it's like, slow down, right? And be intentional with this stuff. And I think, I just wanted to make sure that was said. I forget.
Yeah.
I was going somewhere with that.
Well, it's just ceremonies. Like you're talking about how important ceremonies were and important to the universe and how we're all connected through the universe. I think that with what you're talking about, like you're saying that people they're constantly like opening and ending ceremony when they're smoking, and that's just causing a bunch of trauma because they're not slowing down. They're not taking the time to like realize, why am I smoking? I'm smoking because I'm stressed out, and let me go through those. Exactly. That's not helping your stress. That's just making it worse because you're just you're perpetuating that trauma opposed to healing it.
Yeah. And so like in an intentional ceremony where you're trying to bring in like healing, well, you'll start with a prayer, and the smoke sends it to the heavens, and then you end with a prayer, and that's how we do our men's circles, right? And it's like, it's powerful stuff. So we had this beautiful intro today, right? And so how do we end the show ceremoniously?
So we first end the show ceremoniously by you letting people know where they can find you, because that's important, because if they need to get in touch with you after this beautiful conversation, they are able to.
Sure. So it's, my name's Josh Pouliot. My wife is Emily Boucher, and we are the Hive Farm. So we have a website, thehivefarm.org, Oh boy.
thehivefarm.org.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Haven't said that out loud in a while. And we have our Facebook page, the Hive Farming Community. We have an Instagram, the Hive Farming Community. It's important. We are often summarized as the Hive, which there are many hives. The Hive is there's a music venue in Boston, for example. If you type in the Hive Farm, that usually gets to us on all our platforms. And we have these monthly offerings, women's circles, men's circles, cacao ceremonies, Kundalini yoga. There's a dance meditation technique. Those are all monthly. And then we mix in a bunch of other events. Cacao ceremonies, I think I said that. But if any of those speak to you, we would love for you to reach out. If none of those speak to you, I would recommend finding your own community somewhere that has offerings that you enjoy, because we all need community. It's really important.
Yeah, man, we all need community, and you provide that for me, and you provide that for many people. You provide that for our listeners today. You guys are my community. I appreciate you so much. I love you so much. I always will be here for you if you need anything. Maybe we'll start a community together someday. The BeeWell, the BeeWell Sanctuary. But I love you guys. Josh, I love you. Today was absolutely incredible, and I just want to thank you so much.
I love you too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you know it, brother. We're gonna have to do it again sometime, and we will talk to you guys next time. Giddy up.